Voices. I wrote it, I drew it.
You got.
I was a model for it. And the rest of the panel is right outside. Credit for everything.
Sit down. Yes! We're back!
Thank you all for coming to the Simpsons panel. This is...
I thought this was Saw 3.
No, this is the Rob Zombie killer rip off your guts thing. No. Thank you so much. This is such a pleasure, and I don't know why I'm speaking, but I felt compelled to. I cannot tell you how...
That's a surprise, Rob, that you would feel compelled to speak.
Yeah, because anybody would take a lovely Saturday and spend it here. But this is such a huge, huge thrill for all of us, and finally now people can stop asking me, when the hell are those things going to come out on DVD?
Peter, Earl, and I wrote everything that Rob just said.
When are those things coming out on DVD?
Tuesday, right?
Tuesday, right? Tuesday. What are we doing here? We should all get in line like the Star Wars guys and get dressed up in Wacko, Yakko, and Dot suits and sit on the curb for a few minutes. What do you say?
Don't you think I haven't done that?
So what are you going to do tonight, Pinky?
The same thing. No, you're supposed to... Oh, no, I'm supposed to ask that one. You gotta tell you what, do me a favor.
You're triggered up, aren't you, bro? It's too early. Slow down.
You got somebody drank the bone water. You're supposed to ask me, are you pondering what I'm pondering? So go ahead.
Are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I think so, right? But why would anybody want to pierce Brosnan?
I personally want to thank you for using that one in the presence of Peter. I think that's the one I wrote that got through.
We have, should we, what we're supposed to introduce?
There's no moderator?
Quickly, we should introduce, I think, from that way down here. Would you like to do the introductions, Brain, since you are the genius?
Or insane.
Or it's basically insane for a 3-inch tall lab mouse to think you can take over the world.
Hey, it's happened.
Starting way over to the far end is our farthest out writer. Please welcome Mr. Gordon Bresack. Writer of Tokyo Bros. The one where I had to come out of the booth and punch him.
You said a mouthful.
You said a mouthful.
And Broadway Melody.
And Broadway Melody. And a dear friend.
And Pinky, and my favorite that everybody hates.
Oh, yeah.
Pinky and the Brain and Larry.
And a personal favorite of mine, the Pinky POV.
Right.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Larry couldn't be here today.
He's here somewhere.
And I'm the one called Larry. No, I don't take Billy's job. Next to him is Peter Hastings. One of the founding fathers of Pinky the Brain and Animaniacs. Next to him, Earl Kress. Name your 2 favorite episodes, guys. Peter, you did our Christmas special.
Oh, they're all my favorite.
Yes.
Yes.
And Earl?
I love the Christmas special.
I did To Russia with Lab Mice and the family that points together and arcs together.
Yes.
And everybody has to buy these because we need to get to volume 3. That's where most of my stuff is.
That's right.
Next to Earl is our fabulous voice director, the lady that just brought us all together and made it work, Andrea Romano.
As an example, I you've probably heard this before, but Andre has won so many Emmys, and God's way of telling you that you've won too many Emmys is when you start buying Barbie clothes for them. Which is what she does. You go to her house and it's really kind of sacrilegious. All these fabulous Emmys and they're dressed up like Skipper.
Please don't tell the Television Academy. I'm afraid they'll not give me any more.
Yeah.
Don't tell them.
And you're obsessed with even numbers, so yeah.
Excuse me, if I could take this opportunity to introduce my brother. This is
Mr. Jess Harnell.
I just want to say if I suddenly disappear at any time during the panel, it's because I've got a potty emergency. I also want to say that I buy the Barbie clothes too, but I buy them to wear them myself, which is a whole other thing. And I want to take a moment to introduce you to my brother,
And my partner.
the Emmy Award-winning fabulous Mr. Rob Paulson.
I'm Maurice and I'm an alcoholic.
Wrong meeting, Maurice.
So at this present, we're supposed to watch a video, right?
You guys want to watch some TV with us?
no, just get on your jammies with the feet in them and your bowl of cereal and feast your eyes upon the screen.
Do we have it?
So
There was a party.
yeah, so we know we're doing fun stuff. We know we're making ourselves laugh, but it's such a thrill to be able to see actual, people who have been touched by the work, and so thank
To
you
see
so
a
much.
full room like this.
Yeah, I mean, a whole bunch of people. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I don't know if you remember, but one of my great memories from doing Animaniacs was that Animaniacs was, people were posting things about Animaniacs before most of us had the internet, and it's sort of like, how do you get there? Well, there's a back door through AOL, I hear. And the internet, and you go to Rec TV Arts, whatever Animaniacs. And there, as a group of people who became friends, I don't know if any of them are here tonight, but who came to the studio. I got contacted by these guys and said, we're going to be, they do these groups called Animania. There was Animania 1, 2, 3, 4, and they just like go and watch like every episode of Animaniacs, hardcore.
We did an episode of Animaniacs that was about Comic-Con.
And about people who collect insane, ridiculous facts. Please get a Life Foundation. But I gotta tell you, we got this group of people, and they're all coming to Los Angeles. I said, we should come to the studio. So they all came to the studio and met all of us, and actually showed them. That was like the premiere of that cartoon, Please Get a Life Foundation, where I used information that they had collected and gathered into this gigantic document, the Cultural Reference Guide for Animaniacs. All the mistakes, every possible thing, and it's still available, the Cultural Reference Guide for Animaniacs, and which is out there, which is insane. It's very fun, but it was really to get to share that with the people who are loving the show. But I have something that I have to do, Rob. I wanted to do this earlier to get it out of the way. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm asking you for. Rob Paulson, will you please sing The Nations of the World?
Over there too on the dais thing might be easier for people to see.
Yes, I know.
Is this thing on? Can you hear me? Cutting out. I was trying to do that with a new engineer at a job, like some kid who's just out of recording engineer school.
Is your level okay, Mr. Paulson?
Yeah, working fine, but
I don't know if it ever happens our two networks, so you might want for a job. He's just it's my ass because you know what the hell you're dealing with. Anyway, thank you for that, Peter. And it goes something like this.
United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, Republic, Dominican, Cuba, Caribbean, El Salvador, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Venezuela, Honduras, Guyana, and still Guatemala, Bolivia, then Argentina, and Ecuador, Chile, Brazil, Costa Rica, Belize, Nicaragua, Bermuda, Bahamas, Tobago, San Juan, Paraguay, Uruguay, Suriname, French Guiana, Barbados, and Guam, Norway, and Sweden, and Iceland, and Finland, and Germany, now one piece, Switzerland, Austria, Czechoslovakia, Italy, Turkey, and Greece, Poland, Romania, Scotland, Albania, Ireland, Russia, Oman, Bulgaria, Saudi Arabia, Hungary, Cyprus, Iraq, and Iran. There's Syria, Lebanon, Israel, Jordan, Ethiopia, Kuwait, and Bahrain. The Netherlands, Luxembourg, Belgium, and Portugal, France, and Denmark, and Spain. India, Pakistan, Burma, Afghanistan, Thailand, Poland, Bhutan, Cambodia, Malaysia, the Philippines, China, Korea, Japan, Mongolia, Laos, the Philippines, Islands, Taiwan, Sri Lanka, New Guinea, Sumatra, New Zealand, and Borneo, and Vietnam, Tunisia, Morocco, Uganda, Angola, Zimbabwe, Djibouti, Botswana, Mozambique, Zambia, Swaziland, Gambia, Guinea, Algeria, Ghana. Spanish Sahara is gone. Imagine Nigeria, China, Liberia, Egypt, Benin, Gabon, Tanzania, Somalia, Kenya, Mali, Sierra Leone, Algeria, Dahomey, Namibia, Senegal, Cameroon, Zaire, Ethiopia, Guinea, Bissau, Madagascar, Rwanda, Cayman, Hong Kong, Qatar, Yugoslavia, Crete, Mauritania, then Pennsylvania, Monaco, Liechtenstein, Malta, and Palestine, Fiji, Australia, Sudan.
Did you make that up, Rob?
Yeah, I did. As a matter of fact, you guys, we remember this, you know, and I have to tell you, it was 13 years ago, right? 13 years ago that we premiered Animaniacs. It was September of '93, right? Okay, so and I'm 26, so I was 13. But Peter probably remembers this. There was Peter. Were you there at that on that one, on the dais on that one? We were introducing Animaniacs, Pete. John McCann. John was there. I think Paul Rudd was there. Steven Tom Ruger and some other folks. Anyway, there was they showed Yakko's World. They showed the cartoon and the opening and stuff like that. And there was some lady who, in the front row, it's a little redundant. She was dressed sort of like Patti LaBelle as a Klingon. Big hair and gold lame, right? And she said, "Mr. Paulson, did you make that up?" After I gave her a breathalyzer, I said, as a matter of fact, I did, and I wish I could stay and take more questions, but I'm going to improvise a song about anybody who's ever played Major League Baseball. So thank you. Anyway, should we take any questions or something?
Well, I want to give Maurice equal time. Maurice, would you please do all of the tongue twisters and you said them out?
No. Can we actually say that that was written by Randy Rogel?
Yes.
Yes.
Randy Rogel, who also wrote All of the States and the Capitals, Jess Harnell.
Bastards, hang on.
It's so hard to get Jess to sing.
Now, first of all, I gotta say that unlike my more talented brother, I'm using lyrics because I'm not that intelligent. So just so you know.
It makes you human.
Yes, indeed. It humanizes me. Second of all, I want to say that I love Comic-Con because it's the only place you can come and see hot chicks painted blue. That amazes me. Usually you gotta be on all kinds of medication to see that, and here it is live, which is impressive. Alright, so first of all, I guess I'm gonna sing. I would love to do something from Cats, but since I don't have the costume, I'm gonna do this. And it goes like this. Sing along if you know the words, because it's more than I do. Here we go, ready? Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Indianapolis, Indiana, and Columbus is the capital of Ohio. There's Montgomery, Alabama, south of Helena, Montana, then there's Denver, Colorado, and the Boise, Idaho. Texas has Austin, then we go to Massachusetts, Boston, Albany, New York, Tallahassee, Florida, and Washington, D.C., Santa Fe, New Mexico, and Nashville, Tennessee. Elvis used to hang out there a lot, you know. Trenton, New Jersey, down to Jefferson, Missouri. You've got Richmond in Virginia, South Dakota, Hasbia, Harrisburg in Pennsylvania, and Augustus up in Maine. And here is Providence, Rhode Island, next to Dover, Delaware. Concord, New Hampshire, just up where Jones. To Montpelier, which is up in Vermont. Hartford, Connecticut, so pretty in the bowl. And Kansas has Topeka, Minnesota has St. Paul. Juneau's in Alaska, and there's Lincoln in Nebraska, and it's Raleigh out in North Carolina, and then there's Madison, Wisconsin, and Olympia in Washington, Phoenix, Arizona, and Lansing, Michigan. Here's Honolulu, Hawaii's a joy. Jackson, Mississippi, Springfield, Illinois, South Carolina with Columbia on the way, and Annapolis in Maryland on Chesapeake Bay. They have wonderful clam chowder. Cheyenne is in Wyoming, and perhaps you make it home. It's Salt Lake City, out in Utah, where the buffalo roam. Atlanta's down in Georgia, and there's Richmond, North Dakota. And you can live in private in your own Kentucky home. 'Cause I'm an African
Okay, absolute silence for this, please.
See, now here's something. This is something you only get at Comic-Con. Okay, a lot of people don't know this, but you know, like Mel Gibson and Tom Cruise and all the big actors have stunt guys, right? Because they don't do that dangerous stuff. I had a stunt burper. All that wacko stuff that was so fabulous, because they said to me early on, they said, Jess, can you burp? And I said, only when it's really inappropriate and I'm trying to impress a chick. And I said, well, that's not going to work. So they said, it's a good thing we have Maurice LaMarche. And Mo did all those amazing, amazing stunt burps. So now the secret's out. That's the great Wackarati right over there.
That's how you get a chick.
That's why I got married to that.
Singing a cappella, both Rob and Jess did key changes in the middle of those songs.
Oh, thank you.
You see?
Thank you for noticing that, Earl.
That's what listening to too much metal will get you, Earl.
So I have some Pinky the Brain trivia. When we originally were developing Animaniacs, we had a lot of art, but we didn't have voices. And we went over and we got some good guys from Tiny Toons, and we got a bunch of actors to come in to do these kind of temp voices because we had to go pitch this stuff to Spielberg. And so Mo was there, and Mo did Taz on
I did Taz's dad on Tasmania. Yeah, Tasmania.
Anyway, so Mo was there, and Mo has this thing that if you work with Mo as a voiceover actor, he has a couple little bits that he always does in the booth. And there's this one particular thing that he always used to do, and he was doing it in the booth, and when we heard this, it was like, that is the voice of the brain. Mo, what was that bit that you do?
Well, first of all, it's not a bit.
For you, it's a bit, but
It's more of a compulsion. It's an actual compulsion. I have to do this every time there's a lull or a mic check, and there's this great piece of tape on Orson Welles in the 1970s, and it starts like this.
We know a remote farm in Lincolnshire where Mrs. Buckley lives. Every July, peas grow there. Do you really mean that?
Yes, I start about half-sick and drink.
Don't you think you really want to say July over the snow? Isn't that the fun of it?
If you can make it almost when the jaw disappears, I think it'll make my...
I think it's so nice that you see a snow-covered field and say every July peas grow there. Get me a jury and show me how you can say in July and I'll go down on you. This is a lot of shit, you know that.
So obviously we had to break.
There you go.
If you guys will indulge me, I have a quick funny story, and I know that these guys have all heard it, but if you haven't, it's pretty funny. When Animaniacs first came out, like I said, I was new to doing voiceover, basically, which was good because I didn't know enough to be intimidated by names like Rob Paulson and Maurice LaMarche.
Well, he just also gotten out of prison.
Yeah, that didn't hurt either. But I didn't know how great these people were, and I just thought, oh, this is a very sweet lady, and these guys are funny, and he keeps talking like Orson Welles, and this is a good job, Right? So I'm all happy about it. Well, Animaniacs was this big hit show, and I went to take my mom for a holiday. I took her to Disney World one year, right? Because she lost somebody in her family, so I took her to Disney World to kind of get her mind off of things. And we're down there, and all these people have Animaniacs gear on. And one of the coolest things about being a voiceover guy is it's kind of like being Batman, because you can be standing next to somebody in line someplace, and they're wearing a t-shirt, with your character on it, they have no idea it's you, which is very cool. So I'm standing there in line at Disneyland, and my mom keeps saying, oh, go tell them you're on the show, because everybody has to stop. And I'm like, no, I don't want to walk over and go, hey, I'm on your shirt, how are you? It doesn't really work like that. So finally, we're in this one line, and it's really long, and it's hot, and there's this little boy, and he's really cute, he's like 10 or 11, and he's standing like 3 feet away from me, he's got the Animaniacs shirt, right? And he looks just like the kid on the Life cereal commercial or something, so my mom goes, oh, you have to tell him, it'll make his day, And I'm like, oh, God, So I go to this little dude, and I go, hey, how you doing, And he gives me this look, okay, he's just like, right? And he gives like a hate, dude, and he's like, fine, why? And I go, well, you like Animaniacs, right? And he goes, yeah. And I go, well, it's funny, I go, who's your favorite one, And he goes, Wacko. And I go, well, that's odd because, I do his voice, And this kid stares at me for like 5 seconds, and then he goes, so I do it too. So now little prick, you know? And I'm like, no, bro. I said, I actually do it on the show. And he goes, oh yeah, sure you do, right? And I go, no, I do, you know? And he goes, they do that in California, right? And before I even knew what I was doing, I took out my driver's license, okay? And I show it to him, and I go, look, see, California. And he goes, literally, he looks at me, and he goes, oh. He goes, you live in California, you must be on the show. So now, you know, so I look at him again and I'm like, no dude, for real, I really do. I go, wait, look at this. And I had this business card at the time because I was so excited about having a show. And it had a picture of me with Wacko on the business card, which was really lame, and I wouldn't do it now, but at the time it was cool. So I go, look dude, look, right there. And he goes, oh, wait a minute, you got a picture of him. You gotta be the guy who does the voice, right? So I'm like, you know what I'm thinking? I can't beat him up because he's only like 9. So I'm torn because I really wanted to, but I knew I couldn't. And I'm like, well, I go, what will it take to convince you that I do his voice, you know? And he goes, let me hear you do it. Right? Suddenly I'm auditioning now. Okay? So I look at him and you guys, seriously, if you knew me, I don't really get nervous. And I was nervous now. Right? So I'm like, well, now I'm all like self-conscious about it. And he goes, you know what? Never mind. And I go, okay, wait a minute. Boy, it sure is great to be here at Disney World, what do you know? Right? And he looks at me and he goes, you don't even sound like it. Right? So now I'm totally upset, and my mom is all embarrassed, and she's trying to get out of the line, you know, this is what he's seen with me for beating up this kid, right? And I go, well, let me hear you do it. And he goes, oh, this is fabulous, or whatever he said. And I look at him, we have like this little standoff, and he won, because I go, yeah, I guess you do it better than me. That was it. So that was my first exposure to voiceovers. True story.
Ms. Romano, do you have
Ms.
an
Romano?
interesting little anecdote that you'd like to share?
I don't really have an anecdote, but I just want to say, having worked now in animation for years and years and years, that every once in a while, things align and you get great producers and great writers and great composers and great songwriters and great actors, and it all comes together. And Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain were those particular times where everything just fell into place. We knew it when we were doing it. We all kept looking at each other in recording sessions and saying, it may never get better than this, and that would be okay because this is so very good. And just for all of us, I just want to say we're very, very proud to have been a part of it. And thank you all for being fans. And please do buy the DVDs and request.
Doesn't it look great? I mean, doesn't it?
It does. It holds up after all these years. It's still funny. It makes sense.
I would like to add.
We all look fantastic.
I would like to add to that the reason that all happened was because we were pretty much left alone to do whatever we wanted. There was no network that was stamping their brand on us, and very rarely was something killed or was it censored. So, you know,
and
more freedom.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
And it hasn't happened since.
I'm glad Andrea mentioned the composers, because I'd like to just...
Richard Stone.
Richard Stone, the late, great Richard Stone.
Beautiful. And all the songwriters.
I think that it has to be the last time that a cartoon was completely scored.
Oh, yeah.
With an orchestra, everything's electronic.
Individually scored.
Well, it was almost like, you know, there's the golden age of Looney Tunes that everybody knows and loves, you know, and then it's almost like, starting with Tiny Toons, Warner Brothers experienced that again, you know, and I mean, these guys were there for all those shows, beginning with Tiny Toons and Tasmania and stuff like that, but we were lucky because it's like, we got to ride the second wave, the second golden age of Warner Brothers animation, you know, and that's why we're all so happy that it's coming out on DVD, because I want to see these things again, man. It's like, you know...
I also think at this point that it would be criminal for us to acknowledge the person responsible for all of this besides Steven Spielberg, of course, and that's Tom Ruegger. Tom Ruegger's not here.
Thank you, Tom.
Tom's standing out in the hall.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've got a few more minutes. Why don't we take some questions?
There are microphones in the aisle.
Then we can hear you.
That way we can hear you.
Doesn't this print look great though? I mean, haven't they done a fabulous job on the remaster?
Mo looks so handsome enough.
I always think it's the best idea to pick the fattest member of the cast to be the host. But anyway.
Yes, what can we do for you?
But anyway.
Yes, what can we do for you?
Well, first I'd like to congratulate Mo on his excellent Hitchcock shot.
during those extras.
Thank you. When I take over the world, I will kill you.
I like how you change your voice and you make it sound like other people.
Now this, and my real question is that I've heard, you know, you guys talk about the various origins of certain voices, but I don't think I've heard, or I don't know if it's been mentioned anywhere else. Rob, where did you come up with scratch and sniff?
Oh, well, Peter Sellers was dead. So honestly, the truth is that I was a big fan growing up of the Goons and, you know, Peter Sellers, Spike Milligan, Harry Seacombe and the Pythons and all that. And so one of my probably top 2 or 3 movies of all time is Dr. Strangelove. And so I pretty much stole, you know, because if you see that bit that he does, I pretty much stole it from that, and I've stolen lots of voices. As a matter of fact, a very quick story. Years ago, I had the privilege of working with Pat Buttram before he passed away, and I had told him I walked into the studio and I saw him in the lobby of LA Studios, which is a place we all work quite frequently, and I said, Mr. Buttram, it's a pleasure to meet you, but I have to tell you, I've been stealing your voice. He said, well, that's all right, son, I ain't using it. And then, because he had a little bit of a randy side, he was an older comedian, I said, and he was probably 87 years old, and I said, you look great, how are you doing? He said, man, I'm great, I just met me a $5 hooker who validates. So, to answer your question, I basically stole that from all of the Peter Sellers things that I loved, and thank you for noticing, I appreciate that.
This question is for Andrea. Did you have a preconceived idea of how the main vocals were supposed to sound, or is that all up to you? You just kind of find it on your own?
With the exception of having heard most, are you talking about Animaniacs or Pinky and the Brain?
Either.
Because Animaniacs really came first, and then Pinky and the Brain was a spin-off from that. And no, actually, what we did know, however, were that there were certain actors that we knew we wanted to be on the series. For example, we knew we wanted Rob Paulson on the series. And just to give you all a little insight into the casting process, we submitted to Mr. Spielberg 5 different versions of voices of Yakko. 3 of them were Rob Paulson. Because we really knew we wanted Rob on the show.
And the other 2 were Pat Buttram.
In that way, we did it. Also, we knew we wanted Tress McNeil. And by the way, Tress McNeil really wish she could have been here today, the voice of Doc. She, some show named The Simpsons wanted her today, so she couldn't be here. So, but we knew we wanted her on the series as well. The rest, you present to the agents and to the actors a breakdown of the character, what it looks like, what the character traits are, and then you let them come up with it, let them do their job. And then you kind of go, I like that, but let's make it a little more this way or that way, or higher or lower or whatever. And so, other than that, I don't think, and the brain, we knew we wanted. No, it was the brain. It was just an egotistical mouse that was taking over the world.
Casting against time, of course. Yeah.
So other than that, no, there were no specifics that I had. You know, I like to let the voices come to me and whatever feels right for all of us. That's a decision made by committee. That's not just my decision. That's a lot of people ultimately deciding.
But the great thing about working with a director, and I know I speak for all of us as great as Andre, is that, you know, like I said on that little thing we saw, I didn't know what the hell to do for that character. But when I got in there, she knows how to use actors as clay, because she knows that you're capable and that you probably have a lot of ideas, but she helps you find them. And if it weren't for her, I don't know what Wacko would have ended up sounding like. It probably wouldn't have been me, or probably would have been somebody else doing something totally unrelated. She just said, well, you do impressions, right? Who do you do? Well, why don't we try what I got? I know you do this, let's try that. So we could have had an Elvis Wacko. You're going, hey man, that's Fabu, that's all right. You know,
but Andre, isn't it also true that these 3 actors do multiple voices, so they're valuable to have there?
Absolutely. For this kind of show, for an animated series that's really sort of broad and cartoony, and you really want voice actors who can give you a lot of different voices. The Screen Actors Guild allows us to do 3 voices, essentially for one price. So if I can get 3 voices out of these guys, I'm saving dough.
Which price is $1 million. I can build my infant defibrillator.
But that includes also so you have Rob doing Yakko and Scratch and Sniff at the same time, talking to himself, switching back and forth.
Wake up, it's late. It's 20 minutes after 8. Everybody wake up, it's time to go. Up and at it now. Come on, shake a leg, have some juice and scrub an egg. On the floor, out the door, let me on my way.
I actually have a question for Andrea, Rob, and Jess. Something that I'd like clarified. Tom Bruger told me in the beginning that the voices of Yakko, Wacko, and Doc were sped up. And then you guys learned how to do it that way?
I think we did used to speed Wacko.
6% or something.
We did speed him up a little bit. Because, to make voices sound younger and smaller, just a real simple technical
Well, Rob was gelded, right?
Yes, I
And then, as the voice, and you guys have heard it over the years, voices evolve. You hear the first episode of a series, and then 5 years later, you hear that the next, episodes years later, the voices change. And they actually learned how to make the voices sound that pitched, sped sound by themselves, so we no longer have to mess with it.
It's like Rain Man watching TV going, yeah, definitely higher, definitely higher.
Thank you for your question.
We only have a few minutes left, so ask your questions as quickly as Rob would.
Great. First of all, I just want to thank you guys for being here.
Thank
It means a lot
you.
to all of us.
Thank you.
We're waiting for them, the DVDs to come out, and just want to thank you all. This is questions for Maurice, Jess, and Rob. My personal favorites of Pinky and the Brain is the Bubba Bob Brain episode. Hey, God, Bubba Bob
If I could reach you, I would hurt you.
Animaniacs, the episode, I can't recall the name, but it's also the episode where the clown terrorizes the Animaniacs.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just curious, what is your favorite episode? Pinky and the Brain and Animaniacs.
You know which one comes to mind for me right away when you asked that? I love the 65th anniversary Animaniacs where we did like the retrospective. I love that one. But another one of my absolute favorites, and I believe Peter Hastings wrote it, and I hope I see it again, I hope it's on one of these, was one where they were playing bingo. Wacko and Dr. Scratch, they were playing bingo, and Wacko literally drove him nuts because he couldn't get the rules. I always loved that.
There was one where we went to a drive-in movie and Jeff Bennett was playing the...
Drive and Sing.
Drive and Sing. I like that one where
Yeah.
Dr. Scratch goes to get some popcorn and I would like some popcorn and he goes, hi, my name is Mitch. That's Jeff Bennett. Hello, Mitch. And he goes, everything is $1. And it's just, I just love it because Jeff Bennett is another guy who's just stupidly gifted. And then my favorite Pinky in the Brain is, I like the Christmas special.
Yeah.
Because I love the fact that I give you the little world.
And I love the fact that I cry. For me, it's the Christmas special and Bubba Bob Brain. It's a tie between those two as my all-time favorites.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, sweetie.
Sorry. You did a variation of the Orson Welles sketch on The Critic. Do you think you could perform that?
Oh, yeah, you mean that. Rosebud frozen peas. Full of natural goodness and green penis. I can't believe I said that. This is terrible. I'm leaving. I'll just take a handful for the road. I found a French fry in my beard.
I would like to thank you for finally releasing Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain on DVD. And I would like to know if there are any plans in the works to release Freakazoid on DVD.
I don't know anything about it, but write a letter, send an email, request it.
Probably
I'd love to see one of those.
Yeah, as good as well as this thing does. If you guys buy this thing, they'll go, hey, maybe we'll go into the Warner Brothers vault and release all the other stuff that came from that great period where everything lined up. So write letters and buy our DVD.
And I have one more question for Paulson.
Yes.
Are you pondering what I'm pondering?
What is your name, sir?
Daniel.
I think so, Daniel, but if Jimmy Crowd's calling and nobody cares, why does he keep doing it?
You guys know me, but you said a mouthful.
Thank you.
No. I mean, was there an urge to kill anybody?
I went in and punched Bresak.
Gordon Bresak wrote
In the middle of the session, I got up and I punched Gordon Bresak in the arm like he was my little brother.
Sock plucker, be careful what you say. Gordon Bresak wrote that.
You got to say that we had a bet in the booth while we're watching it who would be the first person to say cocksucker. and ironically, it turned out to be John Machida, who was the guy that's famous for doing the fast talking.
Yeah, he was there. That's a great story.
So I can listen to that all day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next
Yes,
question.
sir.
I just had a quick question. When you look you guys up on Internet Movie Database, you always see additional voices. Can you tell me of something that was an additional voice that may have made it to something that we might recognize?
You mean in with respect to Animaniacs? Or,
well, anything in general, but specifically Animaniacs or Pinky the Brain.
Well, we've all done lots of other, I'm sorry, I've done a lot of other cartoons, but...
Sure,
but,
it's kind of a vague question. I just...
No, that's okay. In terms of Animaniacs, mostly for me it was just Dr. Scratch and Sniff and Yakko and Pinky. There were, I think, more of them that we had thrown different voices in Hysteria.
You know, when we cast Rob as Scratch, when I cast Rob as Dr. Scratch Sniff, I had no idea how important that character was going to become. I thought it was maybe a 1 or 2 story arc, that's all we would see him. And ultimately, that's one good example of a character that became a truly important character in the series.
But I'll tell you something funny about that whole additional voices thing, just because I think this is hysterical. A lot of the time, we're brought in to do cleanup on major movies, like the big movies where they hire all the real movie stars to go in and do the main parts, and they have us come in to do Ant number 2 and and Bulldog number 4 or whatever. So we go and we do all this stuff. Well, I do a lot of that, as these guys do. But my most famous one of those is the additional voices thing, and it was really funny because I was on the way in here, and my driver who took me to the hotel was asked what I did, and he had this thick accent and stuff, and I said cartoon voices, and I kept running things by him, he didn't get it. And finally I went, well, did you see Finding Nemo? And he goes, oh yes, Finding Nemo. I go, yeah, you know the seagulls who go, mine. He goes, yeah. I go, dude, that was me. And it's so stupid because this was this one word with me and one other dude going, mine, and it became this huge thing in the movies.
So, I have to tell you, it is so sad to see, a man who used to be on top of the world convincing a sort of a Pakistani expatriate that I am in fact somebody that you need to know.
Wait.
That's a step up from a 9-year-old.
Wait.
We're the greatest writers in the world, don't we?
Thank you again.
You had a driver?
It was a cab, I made it.
My first real exposure that there was a world behind voice acting was Comic Book the movie.
Oh, yeah.
You all did that amazing.
Mark Hamill, who is wonderful, and he sends his regards. I love everybody. Great to see you.
With that amazing panel you all did on...
I'm sorry we're being told that we're done, but I just want to point out, I know these people, there is no life behind voice acting.
I just want to say real fast, when I was a kid and I watched Animaniacs, I actually thought it was a beetle who did it, and I remember coming to the movie that...
Times never got that tough for Rico, bro. We never needed to get
and you did that little thing of the different Beatles in Comic Book the movie.
Yeah, well, real quick, the way to do that is first of all, we got John, and John sounds like he's in his nose, and this Paul's more back in the throats and high like that, then there's George, and George was that thick and scouts and Rico's out of the bottom, so
Check one of the other mics. Check one of the other mics.
everything else, Rob and Jess and Maurice will be downstairs at the Warner Brothers booth. What, do you know the number?
Like 4,100.
It's like 4,100, so actually they're going down there now. I don't know.
It looks like they're giving him something anyway. Either one.
Hey, Brandon, you want to go to the Yu-Gi-Oh booth over there?
I so will play you a joke. Wait, can you buy me a deck first? Because I don't know how to play. Part of them or no? Ghostbusters Party? Just hold it down. Part of their. I've run into them already. Or that Dark Elf or whatever. Yeah, the Dark Elf. Turn off on the World of Warcraft. This is kind of like waiting for a roller coaster. For like 2 minutes. You're in line and then you get to see the excitement for about 30 seconds. Last year I met the voice actor. Okay, there's a ton of people over there trying to take pictures of the voice actors for Animaniacs. Which Mom will let you. I'll let you watch. Oh, okay, yeah, they're giving out. They're giving out these big pieces of paper here with them.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, that's fine. Oh, I don't need this. Well, you get a picture.
Yeah, I was on the critic. Take a picture with well. That critic. I gave it my #1 rating. 2.5 stars. But he's got it.
You work on go to Kirk, yeah. Hi, Mo.
Hey.
Hey, my girlfriend is Film to Edit. It's Erica.
Film to Edit.
Film to Edit,
Oh,
yeah.
yes, sure.
Yeah.
Hi, Erica. How you doing?
Yeah, she lives in.
Excellent. How you doing, Erica? Good to see you.
That's awesome.
Film to Edit. I do remember our email exchange.
That's
Hope
great.
you're well. Hope you're good. See you later, darling.
It happens at the worst possible time. Thanks, bro. I think it probably
Oh, sure. Did you guys do the back of this one? Or? Oh, it's already.
You good? Cool, man. So what's up, boys?
This is mine here. I don't know what that is.
You know what? Me too.
It's been years.
I know, and it was a lot of legal.
Where did it go wrong?
So how do you feel about this cartoon being so popular even after 13 years?
You'll be the voice again, right? Oh, I think it's somebody else on stage. We knew that we were doing something special when we're doing it. So I like the way you're thinking. I'm not surprised. That's happening. It's held up.
Right.
Cheers, guys. Stop it, thing. We knew anybody was going to show up. Look at this, right?
Exactly.
Amazing.
I think that's
Hi.
Y'all were writers, right?
Yeah.
Yes? I'm moving for you.
Thanks.
Right there. He's fine.